Hey y'all, it is Thursday night, 10 p.m. Eastern and 7 Pacific. And I was thinking it was going to be, well, it felt kind of like a slow week. And you definitely lose track from, we come on every week. So you lose track of like what happened in the past week. And so putting together like some of our content for tonight, it was like, oh no, it was not slow. In fact, once again, we are not going to cover everything, but let's just jump right in. So, I'm sure you guys saw this today. Usually we start like back a little bit, but I want to jump into this thing that's really alarming. Let's listen to Trump.
Are you willing to wait until you on the war with Iran? How long are you willing to wait until you get a unified response?
Don't rush me, Jeff. Guys like you want to say, oh, so we were in Vietnam like for 18 years. We were in Iraq for many, many years. We're in for I don't like to say World War II because that was a biggie, but we were 4.5, almost 5 years in World War II. We were in the Korean War for 7 years. I've been doing this for 6 weeks, and their military is totally defeated.
What do you say to the American people who question how much longer this will take? Obviously, you know that they are having
You're such a disgrace. Did you hear what I just said? Vietnam. How many years was Vietnam?
I understand, sir. But
how many years was
your
Vietnam?
6-week deadline, so
well, I did my ad. I took the country out militarily in the first 4 weeks.
He's
lying.
Took it
out militarily.
Obviously.
Now all we're doing is sitting back and seeing what deal. And if they don't want to make a deal, then I'll finish it up militarily. It's amazing what we've done. So I've done that within that period of time that I mentioned, but I don't want to rush myself, because every story says, oh, Trump is under time pressure. I'm not.
Okay, so he went from 2 weeks to 4 weeks, and now he's saying Vietnam was 18 years. Active combat I looked it up today because that's before my time. 8 years was active combat, and then it was roughly 20 as far as us being involved. Why the fuck is he now talking about, like, he is definitely making this sound like a forever war, which he promised no wars, and then it's not forever wars. I heard this and I was
why?
And add the fact, you guys, that we now have automatic registration for the draft as of last December.
And he's a draft dodger.
Why? Why are we using the Vietnam War as some sort of law?
Give me some time.
That was one of the prime examples of where we went wrong in terms of military. Like, if you had to hold up an example of where we fucked up, that would be it. That would be one of them. Like, why would you even talk about that and compare it? That's not great. That's a bad start.
The buildup of military in Vietnam was after the Gulf of Tonkin resolution, which was arguably staged or at least misconstrued. So you're also comparing it with something where the reason was fabricated. So that fits as well with this.
There's so many lies, and it's like watch this other interview with Rep. Lawler of New York, and I thought this was stunning also. Like, some shit went down. Like, there's definitely a joint effort into gaslighting, and I don't even know if that's the right word.
And do you think the war with Iran is going well?
On the whole, I do.
It appears the president is the one who is more desperate in this moment. Do you not agree?
Well, let's look back. Barack Obama engaged in a 7-month conflict in Libya that resulted in a civil.
We don't need to go back to Barack Obama.
No, we do. Excuse me, Katie.
No, we don't.
Excuse me, Katie. Yes, we do.
I want to live in the moment, and I don't want to do a 10-minute detour for President Obama.
It's not a detour. It's a relevant fact. Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi fully endorsed it, fully embraced it, said everything was great and the president was well within his authority.
War okay or better?
Excuse me,
do we have
Katie,
to justify what happened then in order to ensure now? I'm talking about this president.
I know you just want to spew out. I know you just want to spew out the talking points for the left here. Their leadership is gone. The Ayatollah is dead. The clerics are dead. The leadership of the IRGC is dead. The remnants are what we are dealing with right now. And yes, if you think they're using the Straits of Hormuz as leverage is a problem, what do you think it would have been if they actually had a nuclear weapon? What is amazing to me is all the people on Capitol Hill who have said this is a problem, all the members of the media who have said this is a problem, but because something was actually done, now say, oh, I can't believe we did something. Give me a break.
I'm going to reclaim my time here. This president said that he was not going to get into foreign wars. This president, it does not appear that he has a strategy for how to ensure there is no nuclear weapon or enriched uranium. That would require a regime change. There is a new Ayatollah. They have made no concessions on that. I'll ask you this instead. And I'm not defending this regime. I don't think they're good. No one does.
Well, frankly, some of my colleagues seem to be defending them, which is really
hold
quite jarring.
What is your line for how this would be considered a success? What does the president need to get out of this from the Iranians to determine or deem this war a success?
Okay, so let's go through it. Number one, would you agree that the elimination of the Ayatollah, the clerics, and the leadership of the IRGC was a positive step forward?
Who might be much more hardline.
You say
There's a new
that.
Ayatollah who might be much more hardline.
Katie. It's amazing, Katie. Based on what? Based on what? The guy has not even been seen in 8 weeks.
Based on the reporting that we
you
have,
killed his
the best
dad?
reporting that we
This
have
is
about him.
the
Do you
best
have better
reporting. You all
reporting?
repeat
And
the
he's
same.
worse.
You
Intelligence
all
that says
repeat
that
the
this guy
same
is
talking
more-
point.
Well, I'm
You
sorry, do you
all
have
I don't
repeat
know.
the
If
same
you kill my
talking
dad,
point.
I'm going to be
You're
upset.
This is the problem.
Do you
Well, I
have
am
more
on the Foreign Affairs
intelligence
Committee, and I
that
am the
you
chair of
can
the Middle
relate
East,
to
and I
us
actually do
about
sit
who this
down
Ayatollah
and
is? Tell
engage
me.
on these issues. You're literally repeating
Not
the
his
same
mic.
nonsensical talking point.
And
So
he-
I thought
he's-
Katie Tur was better than normal there because I'm not a huge fan, but you know, I think this is also showing that people are enough of with the bullshit because that was like all lies right there. What would y'all think?
he could not be more sexist as well. That he wouldn't have done that to a male commentator. That they are not engaging in good faith, obviously, and all the points that she brought up were valid, and there is not a unified message, which is funny because Republicans are normally very good about unified messaging. There is not a unified messaging about what constitutes a victory because the ground keeps shifting.
Oh,
So whatever happens, they have to move and say, oh well, then this would be victory or this would be victory. They cannot come to a concrete talking point of what victory is.
Well, let me throw one other thing in there. They are profiteering off of this war. Like his family, his buddies. So like this kind of erratic, you know, on again, off again ceasefire. We're gonna, you know, we're blockading the strait. Like this makes no sense to if you're just thinking in like on its face. But once you think of the fact that they're manipulating markets, it makes sense. So but I couldn't believe when I heard him compare the length of the war. He was like every time he was doing these interviews, he was like, "We're almost done. We're wrapping up. We're winning. You know, one more week or whatever." And now it's like an indefinite time span.
You know, and his son has a contract with the government
Yes.
for military contract, and gas prices are soaring. And my question to him would be, at what point, how much do Americans have to pay in gas before you realize that this war is a huge mistake? And how long will how many lives do we have to lose before you decide that, oh, wait, this is a quagmire. This was a mistake. I mean, it's preposterous. It is not a popular war. The American people are mad, and Trump is just hemorrhaging support at this point.
Yeah. I just put up a graphic. So these are airfare spikes. And this is because of fuel. So, and then there's also the added situation of a lot of airlines are canceling, like European airlines are canceling tons of flights. Just my own personal situation where my daughter's supposed to study abroad and we were doing a family trip to like drop her off. I got to figure that out because this is becoming crazy.
And it's going to get worse is the problem. What people don't understand is that they've said that even if they fix everything tomorrow, it's going to take months and months and months to correct this, to make it safe, to make things move quickly, whatever. And so this is what you're seeing now, right now. That's going to be exponentially worse in a few months. And we're going to start seeing major, like, airlines canceling a lot of flights. People are going to be inconvenienced. People aren't going to be able to afford to go places. And that's going to start to affect everything else. I mean, I don't want to mansplain here, but also, y'all, that's going to be everything. Because think about how much stuff relies on fuel to get places in terms of transportation, to run things. This is why farmers in other countries are getting to the point where they can't even run the machines necessary to get the food. So then how are we even going to get the food that these people are typically able to grow and then get to us? Not only do they have to get it, they also have, like, to get it to us, they have to pick it, they have to grow it, they need machines to do that.
They need
we'd be fucked. It's like, this has been great.
I also heard today that it could be a famine situation in the region because they're not able to get the food that they need to get. So it's a struggle there, and they're not getting fuel at all. Like,
I'm sorry, I definitely don't want to undermine the human rights / like human aspect of this. It's also going to, like, people are going to die. People are dying because of the decisions of this man, and it continues to go on and on and on. So, like, that's, like, by the way, a theme every week that we talk about, and I just want to make sure that we're hitting that again. That's not theatrical to say that. I think oftentimes as Democrats, we underreact because we are being rational-minded people trying to talk about facts and trying to be honest and, like, stay in the moment and be present. But the reality is we really should be screaming and yelling and shouting like the Republicans do because people are dying. And that's, I don't want to normalize that. I don't want to make that seem like it's no big deal.
Just think about Benghazi and how they went on and on for years about that. We do not make enough of a deal about just about anything. I mean, just think of the Epstein files. But this is going to cause a worldwide recession, economists are predicting. This is insanity. And so we should be talking about this. We should be yelling about this from the rooftops, along with all of the other things that we could be yelling about. The corruption. I mean, just think of Hunter Biden's laptop. And then the Trumps have, their wealth has increased by $3 billion in 1 year. 1 year. Oh my God. That should be an outrage to every single American.
And there's no accountability. None. That's what's infuriating with this shit.
And just, I mean, the acceptance of it is it's infuriating that they're doing this and that they're making money off of the lives of people, of human people. That's gross. But the fact that everyone has just kind of been like, okay, like, that's okay. That's what they do. That's what I just want to punch something. Like, I don't understand why the standards are so much lower for them. And that's part of what it is. Even if you ask the Republicans why they like Donald Trump, it's because they know that he speaks what's on his mind. And so they allow for that kind of really low bar, that low threshold of behavior, because they feel like that makes him human. And I would like to go back to a time where we esteemed our president and held him to a higher standard than we hold the average person that's just, like, hanging out with us on the street. You know what I mean? That would be great, I think. And it frustrates me to no end that that's partially why the reporters, not so much now because they've obviously streamlined who they want to be interviewing or around Donald Trump, but, like, in the beginning and stuff, when we didn't get more pushback from people, and even during the campaign season, it's not just that the media is all bought, it's that they just decided that that's Donald Trump, and, like, we're not going to be able to move him on that. And a lot of leftists do the same thing too. If you ask them why they're not giving equal time to criticizing the Republicans, they're like, well, everybody knows that they're terrible. And they've just, like, left it at that, right? Like, I'm like, this is also, again, why I don't want to admit to leftist ideology, because I don't want to get grouped in with that. Like, I'm not okay with normalizing that and being like, well, they're just, like, this bad, so, oh, well, that's not okay. Like, we should not move on from that. And sorry,
even if they supported him at the beginning, his mind is going, and he's losing his shit.
on a regular
I mean, it's
basis.
becoming more obvious, and I do think the media is hitting on it a little bit. Not nearly like they were with Biden, but it's becoming a little more open, but not in the same way. Like they were like vicious with Biden on every little thing, and this guy's like taking naps, during press conferences and stuff. It's it's basically social media. Really, it's us on social media that are calling it out, but like regular, cable news and stuff, not so much.
I
Do
mean,
you
if
guys
you look
remember-
at the time of some of his posts, they're in the middle of the night.
And they're like many. Like
Yes,
he's
he does it like a spree, like a machine gun spree of them. I just actually found the video from like a couple months ago. Remember when he did the like full posting where it was like, I want to say, okay, Miss America or American Pie, the song by Don McLean, the one that's really long. It's like 7 or 8 minutes. It was longer than that song of me screen recording it. I'm not kidding. Like I just screen recorded all of the things he posted in a very short, like a less than an hour and a half period of time. And it was like, we calculated it. It was like a post every 20 seconds. It was like, that's how fast he was going. And that's how much he put out. And that's what he's been doing, things like that since then. That's insane to me. By the way, if you Google it, you might be able to find it. I don't know where it is because I posted it somewhere several months ago and now it's lost, but it's absolutely on my page somewhere. You can find it.
I just think that the double standard is insane. Like, for example, the fact that he had, you can't hear me. Sorry.
No, I can hear you.
Okay.
We can hear you.
The standard that they hold every other president to, and Trump is saying, okay, well, this is the deadline, and then he backs out. Okay, no, this is the deadline, and he backs out. And Republicans are just willing to overlook that when they just absolutely, murdered Obama because the Syrians, obviously this is terrible that they use chemical weapons, but they just went after Obama so hard on that. And Donald Trump said that this is my red line, this is the deadline, and then he goes past it again and again, and they don't say anything. It's hypocrisy.
Casey mentioned a few minutes ago, like his followers kind of ride with him, and you dug up this video at a gun show. I think this is good. And then we'll pivot back to
This one's terrible.
Other Ukraine and Israel supportive money and not funding his own country. So it kind of says what he's doing,
I think he's making wise decisions for our economy. I think him as a person is disgusting. I think he's very smart, but he's just unhinged.
I get very emotional when I think about these things. I'm so sorry. The Second Amendment is there. You can't put a value on it. I'm a 3-time Trump voter, and nobody is perfect, but he is a million times better than anything we've had an opportunity to vote for.
I'm very concerned about the training and lack of training and the tactics that were used by ICE during that whole episode in Minnesota. I'm glad that we're past it. I'm glad that the people of Minnesota stood up to express themselves and to make some changes. And the Trump administration has made some significant changes in the wake of that tragedy with both Poole and Preddy.
So you can't save everybody, and these people are beyond, we're never regaining these people. I mean, I do think he is. I mean, if you look at the polling, it is definitely shifting. And let's look at this.
What was the most recent one said that, hold on, it's 1 in 5 Trump voters from 2024 say they regret their vote. So that's not great. That's still only 1 in 5, but I guess we're moving in a better direction. And obviously his approval rating has dropped to 37% now, I think, just in general. Oh, 31. Okay.
There's 31.
Oh, that's the economy. That's the economy. I thought it was 29%. Has it come up?
No.
Or this was a different poll? Maybe.
No. I think it depends on what you're asking him. But listen to this. Listen to this video. This is interesting.
% of Republicans now disapprove of President Trump's behavior. That's a shocking number for someone who has commanded utter fealty from the GOP. Only 23% of independents do approve, and this all combined leaves you with a net approval rating overall of 33%. Just a dreadful number.
that 68% concerns me.
Yes, but look at it was in the 90s. You know,
I know,
like
I know, and I
It was
understand.
in the 90s. This is huge, and the fact that Democrats are Democrats. I mean, like I don't know who these 3% are, by the way. But.
Well, one is John Fetterman.
I was gonna say, I don't think they're Democrats.
The Dixie Democrats. Let me ask you guys this. Do you have any Republicans in your circle, and have their views changed? Because the Jesus post that got some of the Republicans in my circle to go, what?
I don't have any, but my one of my good friends does. Her mom was, and it was the Epstein stuff that finally but in the last month, so she was really unhappy before, basically somewhere in the summer, but by the time we got to Minnesota, she was like, this, you can't be shooting people in the street, right? That's not good. But she was officially on the hate train, as of last month. Now she's actively evangelizing to other people because she's so horrified and she thinks he's a rapist and a pedophile protector and all those things. So it really was that for her, in the economy, I think those two things, you can't be a rapist, a pedophile protector, and also ruin the economy. These are not things you can do and be in favor with a lot of people. So that's at least one person.
One of
them.
But not all three.
Not all three. That's too much.
Well, she needs to come to my neighborhood.
Oh no.
They don't change. They won't change. It's
Those are the
admitting
cultists.
that they did something really wrong. And,
I think too, we also need to acknowledge the racist elephant in the room, and that is that there are a lot of people who just flat out are racist, and they value the same things he does. Donald Trump exists as a man that was obviously varying degrees of successful, because he went bankrupt however many times and came back from whatever, and he was a Nepo baby, but still he managed to amass a lot of money because there are people who think like him. There are other people who think like that, and he can find them, and he has found them, and he's weaponized them, and that's what's happened. So there does need to be this discourse after the fact. So while I agree with Chris, we can't save these people, I also feel like there needs to be a shame tour, and there needs to be a reparation / what we saw Germany actually do, where they just completely changed the rhetoric around it, the expectations around it, how they were going to approach it. We haven't done that after any conflict, and we built statues to them. What do you mean? It's crazy. So we should not have people advocating for Donald Trump's statue in 50 years. Right? We should not have people naming elementary and middle schools after him in 50 or 100 years. We need to bury this. And part of that has to be the bulk of us saying, go somewhere else if you want to believe that. You're not welcome here. There has to be education tied to it, sure. But I agree with Chris, we can't save everybody. And there has to be sort of an expectation that you're not welcome here if you act that way. You can go to another country. Go to Argentina and enjoy your time with the other Nazis.
Don't send them down to Milenas.
Oh, wait, that's right. Well, where are they going now? Where are they welcome? I don't know. Russia?
I don't think they travel.
Russia.
I don't think they travel.
Russia.
They stay in, Tennessee or wherever.
Well, apparently Hungary is sending them here, so that's not great.
Okay, back to reality on this war. Let's watch this.
Deeply unpopular. A new Reuters Ipsos poll of Americans say U.S. military action in Iran has been worth its costs. And a record 62% disapprove of the job President Trump is doing. 24 hours after President Trump said it was, quote, highly unlikely he would extend the ceasefire with Iran, tonight he is doing just that. Calling the Iranian leadership seriously fractured, Trump announcing he will extend the ceasefire until such time as their proposal is submitted and discussions are concluded, one way or the other. The president did not provide a concrete timeline for how long the new ceasefire would last. Trump's reversal comes after Iran refused to resume negotiations until the U.S. ends its blockade of Iranian ports. The U.S. military has turned away 28 ships from Iran and seized an Iranian cargo ship, opening fire on the vessel, Marines rappelling down to the deck. Overnight, American troops filing onto helicopters and flying out to board an oil tanker believed to be part of Iran's dark fleet of illicit shipping vessels. Today, Iran's foreign minister calling the blockade an act of war and thus a violation of the ceasefire, adding Iran knows how to resist bullying. Vice President J.D. Vance was preparing to fly to Islamabad today. This morning, Trump sounding confident Iran would send its own negotiators.
They'll be sending them. They have no choice but to send them.
Even threatening to resume attacks if there was not real headway on a deal by the end of tomorrow.
Well, I expect to be bombing because I think that's a better attitude to go in with. But we're ready to go. I mean, the military is raring to go.
But Iran refused to budge, insisting Trump lift the naval blockade, saying only then will the next round of negotiations be held.
Yeah, it's hard to see how Iran doesn't have the upper hand. I mean, we are such a mess. I mean, they were planning these negotiations. So remember, J.D. Vance was going, then he wasn't, then he was again. They were going to send a committee to the Middle East to do the negotiations with Iran, and Iran's like, no, we're not going. So you're sending a delegation over there to negotiate with someone that isn't showing up, and then it got called up. So we don't know what the fuck we're doing. He doesn't know what he's doing, and it's constant.
I would love to see a poll of just the military. I would love to see that over time. I would be really, I don't know.
They can't,
but
I don't expect them to be, because their job is to follow orders to an extent.
Military families.
And look how Pete Hegseth is treating folks. Like they're very concerned about how they're being portrayed, and when he does these press conferences, he's berating the media.
Because we have veterans out here protesting on the regular that are speaking out.
More concerning with the negotiations, I think, is and I was ignorant to this prior to this conflict, but just the structure of the Iranian government, in that there are really two distinct silos, where one is the Ayatollah and the Sacred Defense, the IRGC, and then there's the civilian government, which has its own military. And so when you're talking about negotiating with them, you've got to say, okay, well, who are you negotiating with? Because there's the distinct possibility that the Ayatollah column, decides the heck with the civilian part. We're just, going to use this opportunity to take over. So what I'm very concerned about when they're saying, when the interview that we listened to before, where he was saying, well, how do you know that the new Ayatollah is worse? And you think, well, you killed his dad, and that would make you kind of bitter. But here is the opportunity for Iran to completely double down on their philosophy of, we need a strict authoritarian kind of situation because we're going to need to defend ourselves, and that a military structure is going to be the best way to go about that. We have forced their hand to be exactly what we say we don't want them to be.
Does anybody understand
on purpose?
Does anyone get it? Because I mean, other than
I assume we're making a bunch of defense contractors and Kalshi betters real rich right now. That's what I assume we're doing. I assume that he's being played by some foreign, based government through some channels to do things to destroy our economy and in the favor of somebody else, like an oligarch or something. That's what I assume is happening. Is that not what's happening?
That he's manipulating the market and making tons of money for himself and his friends every time that he says, "This is the deadline, JK," and then they're raking in billions.
And to Susan's earlier point about him not being all there, I just question, today he's saying, oh, give me time. Vietnam was 18, 20 years or whatever. Okay, we've been debating on how much time he has on this earth. I know for sure he doesn't have 18 years.
He does not. In fact, he does not.
Like, I
Thank
can
God.
think
He is the Antichrist. Could be.
Also, this was the rumor that was going around. The rumor that was going around this week was that they wrestled nuclear codes away from him. And there are different rumors depending on what perspective you look at. Some people suggest that they took them away from him because he was a liability. Other people suggest he tried to use them in some sort of an emergency meeting. To what extent? The problem is when we hear things like this, we go, that could be a thing. Like, right? Like there is a part of that looks like it could be true. And so you don't know. Like I assume if it were true, we would hear more about it than just from one person.
Video, because I don't know how many people on like I hadn't heard about this till you brought it up. So
oh, okay. Sorry. I thought it was more.
Out there haven't also. So let's watch this.
Okay.
Donald Trump tried to use US nuclear weapons on Iran, but that was stopped by a general. That's according to retired CIA analyst Larry Johnson, who claimed that Trump reportedly tried to access nuclear codes during an emergency meeting on Sunday. The allegation remains unverified, but there's growing criticism over the president's erratic behavior, explosive online posts, and attitude towards the war.
I mean,
yeah, but you're talking CIA.
Wait,
what, Susan?
I mean, she mentioned the CIA. It could happen.
I just don't know. Like, I mean, I've seen movies and the new clothes, it's not like they're in his wallet. So I don't understand this whole concept. Like, was he literally saying we're launching nuclear weapons and they were doing the countdown and reading the numbers and someone wrestled them away? I don't understand.
I don't know. I assume it wasn't like literally wrestled. I assumed it was more like.
I like that visual.
It is nice. I just assumed he does not have. First of all, like aside from his like cognitive deficiencies and decline that we've clearly seen, he also doesn't have a working knowledge of science. He does not have a working knowledge of history of pretty much anything. And so. Coming into something and talking about nuclear weapons, like I 100% think that he would be like, let's just like, we could just throw one there and we could throw one there. Like, I don't think he would have any understanding of the fallout, like literally, and the ramifications of that.
He wanted to launch a nuke at the hurricane off the coast of Florida
and I don't think he's joking. That's the thing. People think he's being funny. And
I think that was true.
I think I 100% believe that. Like, some of what he does where he acts like it's tongue in cheek is because after the fact, he's sort of walking it back or like, whatever. I think he's serious in the moment. And this is my concern about it. And I think that there's people behind the scenes that are having to have discussions with him to educate him, like politely, like find ways, the same way they try to get him not to tweet all the time.
Like a toddler.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Can I just add how incredibly dangerous this is? Because it's not like the people that are actually going to fire the nukes are going to stop it. They're practicing. They're getting practice codes on the daily. They never know what codes are the actual real thing. So this could, if they have irresponsible people around him, and if he decides that he is just going to do it, we're all effed.
And this is what I was asking Chris. I was like, who's going to go against him? Because what becomes treason? What becomes something that is absolutely illegal? Like, if somebody does take the codes from him, are they committing treason? Like, have they broken the law? Like, I don't know well enough because we've never been in this situation before.
The administration, it's staffed with unserious people. Like, these are not, like Pete Hegseth is a Fox News, if you want to call it news, weekend host. And he's talking about Pulp Fiction and stuff. So watch this.
Is he who in the name of charity and goodwill shepherds the weak through the valley of darkness. For he is truly his brother's keeper and the finder of lost children.
Blessed is he who, in the name of camaraderie and duty, shepherd the lost through the valley of darkness. For he is truly his brother's keeper and the finder of lost children.
And I will strike down upon thee with great vengeance and furious anger those who attempt.
No, I was just saying, I think this is the person, Matt Royer, has the two side by side. I shared the posts. And you can see that, like, they're not quite equal because obviously this is more theatrical, right? Because it's a movie. But it matches up. So if anybody wants to see it.
Look, you guys, look there. Are they praying here?
Yes.
Like, look at their, or are they just embarrassed?
100%.
Like,
that woman right there is praying. 1,000%.
Is that
That's
his wife? Like, who are these people? Do we know?
I don't know. I have no idea.
I don't know. I just think I think there's so much.
It was a Pentagon meeting that they opened with a prayer. That should be your first fucking problem. Why are we opening government meetings with prayers?
So
like
being inserted in our government right now, and then here we have.
I mean, granted, it was Pulp Fiction. It was Pulp Fiction religion, but still.
I initially got really upset about this and thought he's so stupid. And then I saw a post by Dan McClellan, who is, online biblical scholar, very,
great.
very trustworthy. And he said, you look at the whole thing, and Hegseth definitely kind of winks and nods at the beginning. And this is something that had floated around before in a modified setting, and that no, it's not biblical, but also he knew what he was doing. So to say that he didn't understand that it was modified from Pulp Fiction is not accurate either. And
I'm not saying it wasn't, but you don't think he thought he'd be the subject of ridicule?
No, I don't think so. I think I think that they're beyond ridicule. I don't think that he looks at it the same way we're looking at it. And ultimately, I think there are bigger things to criticize him on than this. And
what do you think? What do you think the motive was?
I think it was. No, I
it's a rallying cry.
I think he legitimately thought it was cool. Like, I think this is the bro kind of talk of
this is their rallying cry. They unite behind things like this. This is their culture. And like, we just watched that gun show guy crying about the Second Amendment, and like they have passions and weird fucking kinks, and that's what this is like they do things like this because it's a boys club that like this is their only culture that they have. Is stealing movie, like whether it's westerns or like action movie or whatever, they take that like kind of aggressive alpha male, like perceived alpha male behaviors, and then they try to like rally behind that and make that theirs. They've done it from the beginning, and it's so gross, and I just can't stand it.
They're firing generals and admirals and people, people that actually know what's going on, the people with the experience, the people that we thought would be
on purpose. On purpose. I just hope I am alive. I hope, well, first of all, I got to outlive Mike Johnson. There's a whole list of people that I have to outlive because I need to see them in jail. But I just hope that I am alive to see the history books where they actually come back and look at all of these points, because they will dissect all of this at some point. It will, whenever you get far enough away from stuff, 20, 30 years, you can really start to get down into the segments of it and like see patterns and whatever. And I really hope I'm alive to see that, because some of it will be the fact that we just sort of casually allowed this to go on. Like, we just let this keep happening. And time after time, they've done stunts like this. And whether it's because they're ridiculous, I mean, I think it's ridiculous, and I'm going to keep calling it that because it is. Like, it is embarrassing. It's ridiculous. But I don't disagree with Chris Q that I think sometimes they do just think it's cool. Sometimes they think it's not necessarily unintentional. Maybe they plan it, but other times I think it is intentional. So it's like they roll of the dice in terms of whether they're incompetent or whether they're cosplaying or something. But I think ultimately in the end, people are like, there's going to be, yeah, I mean, truly, I think they're going to have real full discussions about why we because whether it was real Bible or not, there was a perception that it was. Why did we allow that happen? Why are we allowing that to happen?
It's embarrassing.
Yeah.
No, it's like you send your kid to a wedding and they misbehave or crash the party. It's wrong.
you have to figure like that he Fox News host in a dunk tank full of champagne at one point. There's photos and video of that. And we're letting this man run a whole ass defense, like as if he knows what the fuck he's doing. Like, I can't believe we still talk about it. Like, this is just what it is. I mean, I know there has to be some element of that because we have to find a way to combat it and we have to find a way to educate people. But I really just need Democrats to regularly remind people how ill-equipped and unprepared this man is for the job. I don't think people are being dramatic enough about that. I do not like how we've normalized that there's no respect. There should be no respect. I don't give a good goddamn if he's the Secretary of Defense. He has no fucking there's no reason why he should be. I don't care if we weren't in the majority and we didn't get to have enough votes to get him out. It doesn't matter what the reality is. Every single time someone's in front of a mic, they should remind everybody that this is a Fox News host that spent half of his time in a dunk tank with champagne, and he's just a personality. I don't care if he served in the military. That doesn't make him prepared to run our whole system of military. And by the way, not just babysit it, like actively be involved in an illegal war. Because that's I would like to point out, if we were just kind of cruising along normal foreign policy and just going wink, wink, nod, nod, it might be a little different, but they're actively engaging our troops. They're putting our troops in harm's way on purpose.
Well, we have to think that they're coming with receipts. They want more money.
Yep.
This
right.
is a money machine.
100%. You're exactly right. I get that. And that should be a part of the conversation, but I would settle for just this man as wholly unqualified to do this. I would
He's not
every single
qualified.
time.
And the reporting is that behind the scenes, members of Congress, Senate, he's the one that they want to go the most. They think Hegseth is doing the most damage. He's not qualified. I mean, they confirmed him, right? But
originally, I thought he would be out by now.
He's probably one of the least likely to get fired because A, he's not a woman. He's a white man, and B, he's also Trump's boy. He is.
Yeah, and Trump likes how incompetent he is.
Yeah,
and don't forget that he was credibly accused of sexual assault as well.
That's right. Thank you. I forgot about that. I did forget. It's true. I can't keep all of it on.
There were some details there.
You know how people show up to congressional committee meetings and they have those nice poster board signs? The way that if I were a member of Congress, I would have one made of every cabinet member, and I would show up for every fucking press conference or every interview, and I would be holding those things up. I would not shut up. I would never shut up. I would have the picture of him in that dunk tank everywhere I went, because that's what Republicans would do. That's what they would never shut up about stuff. And we're just out here pretending like he's a reasonable Secretary of Defense. Why? Why are we doing that? Why are we acting like this has to be the reality? It doesn't. We could just scream about it all the time. And if we did so, they would maybe replace him with somebody that kind of looks a little more legitimate. Maybe not. I guess it could get worse. I mean, there's always that.
Let's move on to this, Jim, guys.
Because, I mean, you and I and everyone else who supported him, you wrote speeches for him, I campaigned for him. I mean, we're implicated in this for sure.
Yes.
It's not enough to say, well, I changed my mind, or oh, this is bad, I'm out. It's in very small ways, but in real ways, you and me and millions of people like us are the reason this is happening right now.
Yes.
So I do think it's a moment to wrestle with our own consciences. We'll be tormented by it for a long time. I will be. And I want to say I'm sorry for misleading people, and it was not intentional. That's all I'll say.
So this is his apology tour, but I will say no one should give him any credit for anything. He lost did you hear at the very end? He said it wasn't intentional. That is totally, he lost the plot.
That is white people talk. That's the white people talk of, well, I didn't mean to. You don't know what was on my heart. Yeah, I don't care, because the outcome was that people died. So that does not, I don't care what you wanted to do.
He hated Trump. There were text messages saying that he hated him. He knew what he was doing.
All of these people knew, and
They all knew,
he's
yeah.
he's smart enough to be one of the first people out in front on the apology tour, which again, like, it's still not, I'm not forgiving him. I'm just suggesting that, like, he sees the writing on the wall and he's like, I better get out in front of this and do that thing where I put my tail between my legs and pretend like I'm like, whoa, I'm so sorry. Like, no, the ridiculous things that came out of this man's mouth, I remember, I was there, and you're not going to gaslight me into believing that you just didn't know. You're like, it's never going to happen because we showed you, people put evidence in front of your face on a regular basis, and you knew, and you just didn't care. Whether or not we can forgive these people, whether or not we can move forward, that's for another day to discuss. But you know what? I will tell you right now, I will never let them forget it. Because, like, whatever we do, I will never let them forget it. Like, even if we do forgive and move forward, you're still going to be reminded of this. Like, I will never trust you. That's true. I don't trust you now. And especially if Chris knows, if you're a white man in politics or working in politics, I probably don't trust you to begin with. So
he's a rodeo clown.
At absolute best, you need to put this in. At absolute best, you need to put this in like 80s cartoon. Like, it occasionally Optimus Prime and the Decepticons would join up, like, to defeat a bigger evil, but ultimately, Megatron's a bad guy. Like, they're not going to be friends afterwards. So if you want to look at Tucker Carlson saying this as, well, it's a means to an end to get rid of Trump, fine. But just make no mistake, he is Megatron. He will stab you in the back the first chance he gets. He is still an abhorrent human being. He still believes everything contrary to what is just and right in this world. And it is only in this one instance where it is self-serving to him because he got kicked out of the club that he has the ability to turn on Trump that is in his own best interests, that might for 5 seconds align with our interests, that we're even considering his opinion on anything. So just keep him at
the enemy of my enemy is still my fucking enemy. Okay, like, that's just what it is. Like, and it's never gonna not be that way. And I don't care how much strategy we have to play. You're right. Like, at the end of the day, none of these people are. I'm not holding space for them. I'm not forgiving them. I'm not going to dinner with them. I'm not schmoozing with any of these people. No, you can move somewhere else. Russia, I hear, apparently. That's fine.
Let's
Ready to go.
I think, I don't know, people are having technical problems, or there's
You're ready to go.
But hey,
That's
so
fine.
let's pivot to I think the root of what's Trump is causing himself a lot of problems right now because of what's happening here. Let's listen to this. The Pope, right?
The Pope is staying centered in the gospel message, and the just war theory. The consistency of the papacy on this issue is firm. Of course, you're going to have politicians that want to support, the actions, the erratic actions of an administration that, again, chose to go to war without, any real plan in mind for, how to, even what the goal of the war was. But in the midst of it all, again, the critique from political leaders, again, it aligns with where this administration is at, sadly, and the whole spirit of white Christian nationalism that, again, continues to try to raise the nation above and the values of the nation above Christianity itself. Again, totally contrary to any true sense of being a disciple of Jesus. Is to keep that focus.
I was so I posted this sometime last week, and I had never heard. I just thought it was so interesting that a Catholic priest was linking the Trump administration to white Christian nationalism, and I thought, thank you, because this is something we know. We know, like, the Christian right and white nationalism are like really the same. Right. So, you can send me your nasty messages. I don't give a fuck. I get them anyway, but it's the truth. And I was glad.
No, send them to me because I want to fight with you. You send them to me. Like, I'll fight you. That's fine.
So I am I am
I want
culturally
the Pope for president.
I am culturally Irish Catholic,
You know,
though
I
I was
want a
never.
regime change.
You are not Catholic? Wait, Susan, can you hear Chris? Because maybe she can't hear you.
No,
I said
I can't hear him.
I am culturally Irish
You may have
Catholic.
to come back out.
Yeah.
You're Catholic. I'm Catholic too, Roman Catholic.
But you never
I
went
was
to
raised
church?
that way, went to Catholic
Correct.
school.
My dad insisted that we be raised Catholic, and my mom said, "That's fine. You're in charge of it," and thus ended my Catholic. So I have a cousin on that side that is currently working for JD Vance. So that's where they align, and so we don't speak. But I looked up the numbers in this, and I thought it was really interesting. I thought that the Catholic vote was much more one-sided than it actually has been historically. That going back to 2000, it's basically been a coin flip in presidential elections. It's been basically 50-50, except for 2024, where it was 56-42 towards Donald Trump. But a large part of that is we're up to the point where almost 40% of U.S. Catholics are Hispanic. So and we've spoken about this before, where you had people that were kind of brought in to the Trump camp that then saw everything that ICE has been doing, and may have the possibility of leaving. And so this is layered on top of that. You already had those people very likely to break back, if not towards Democrats, at least towards not voting, which would be okay too at this point. But I think the image of the AI image of him speaking out and starting a war with the Pope for like no apparent reason whatsoever, that is ultimately going to be helpful, because it at least will hopefully pull some of those people back to, if we could get the Catholic vote back to 50-50, that would be great.
But didn't you see the poll that came out? There's a poll that says that actually his railing against the Pope has made Catholics like him more.
I don't buy that at all.
I don't either.
No,
I don't either. And I
think-
wish I'm going to have to try to figure out if I can find it, because it was one of those things where I was scrolling and I was like, that can't be right. And then
that's bullshit.
I can't.
Listen,
but I think okay, go ahead.
Chris, I wonder what you think of this too. Are the response of the church? I've been really heartened by the fact that they've been so calm. Like, they are not taking the bait. Like, a lot of times, they, like the Pope even said, I'm not interested in debating the Pope, right? And I just feel like even that Catholic priest that we had on a minute ago, even though he said some really, pointed things, very calm demeanor. And I feel like they're above it. I saw a video with, I think it was 3 priests. They were talking, and they were keeping it real. They were saying, this is not okay or whatever. We support the Pope. And they're really just trying to explain what the Pope is, what his message is, and why he's saying it. And I think they're hitting their perfect note. And I don't think any Catholic, other than Tucker Carlson, where is that? No, Sean Hannity. I think most Catholics are sticking with the church. Like, I don't think they're sticking with Trump.
This is where
so Hannity, and he's done this before. He's leaving the church because he doesn't like the Pope being against Trump.
It's very helpful that the Pope is an American, that he's from Chicago, that he has the cultural background of American politics, that he maybe is a little more tuned into it than someone from another country would be, to have a better understanding of, you don't take this kind of bait. Like that is exactly what they want. Not to say that any other Pope wouldn't have that same understanding, but there's just, I think he would kind of have an inherent understanding of that. It's also important to note that should things start to turn, 7 of our 9 Supreme Court justices are also Catholic. So the more you press this issue,
what's your allegiance
against the church in general, right? Exactly. And the Pope, if you start picking at that religious aspect of it, of bringing a fight against Catholicism to it, you might, in the back of their heads, start alienating some of those justices.
So Michelle just said what I was going to say, which is this is one of those instances where people want to say that it's strategic, it's deflecting, it's this, but I really think this all started because the Pope is very popular. And this Pope is even more popular than
Trump even
other
said
popes.
he's Pope because of me. He took credit for it.
Right. He can't this, and not only that, this Pope is popular because of some of his more like humanitarian, like his more progressive humanitarian positions, like some of the things that he said that are like, you know, we're moving into the era of grown-up popes, like, right, people that are like facing real world problems and addressing them, and people are like, oh yay, finally like a pope that gets it. And he seems to, and that's also why he's not taking the bait, right? Like, because he is like a grown-up pope, and Donald Trump can't stand that. And that's how I feel like this all started, and he keeps trying to escalate it because that's the only way he knows how to do things, because he has the emotional regulation of a 2-year-old. And I think that's probably, no offense to the 2-year-old.
I'm not Catholic, but I love this Pope for doing what he did. You know,
and even, I mean, even before that, he was really well liked, and he's just stayed in that.
Speaking truth to power, I mean, this is insanity.
Yeah, and he's like, right, the U.S., like he's from Chicago, so this is like another thing. I really think that's a Trump wants to be the most powerful and important person in the world, but especially from the U.S. So the idea that somebody is a global figure that's more popular than him was driving him absolutely bananas. And I think that that's how this happened. People will maybe argue with me, historians will argue, whatever, but I really do think that this has happened before. We've seen it before. And this stuff gets under his skin. And we remember the ketchup bottle incident, right? Like, so there's stuff that happens behind the scenes that we're not necessarily seeing that has shown that he does have a temper, that he absolutely gets upset, and that this isn't an act, right? Like this, he actually does get really upset. And that's why we see him having these true social sprees and stuff. Some of it maybe does start out as a deflection or does end up that way, but I think a lot of times it's his ego. He's a narcissist.
Who thinks he's Jesus and a doctor.
Yeah. That's right. No, remember last week, Susan? Were you on here last week when we said that apparently someone told, or Caroline Levitt said that someone had doctored the photo, and that's likely what they told Donald Trump. And so he heard doctored photo and then said that he was a doctor.
Yeah.
I think that is believable. I think that
makes perfect sense. That makes more sense than what he said. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
So we've been hearing chatter from the right that they're starting to compare him to the Antichrist, which is what people on the left have been saying this entire time. I want to play this video for you. It's a little long, so we won't watch the whole thing. Where are you? Here we go.
The Antichrist? That's a real question former Trumpers are asking.
Could this be the Antichrist?
Marjorie Taylor Greene said it. Evangelist Joel Webbin posted, "I genuinely believe Trump is currently demon-possessed." That's easier to swallow than Trump's actual explanation for why he posted a picture of himself as Jesus.
I thought it was me as a doctor.
What? 3 key facts about Trump versus God. Number 1, Trump resembles the beast from the book of Revelation. In Revelation 13, the beast has a boastful mouth, demands worship, wages war, fights the church, puts his mark on everything, including people's foreheads, and suffers a head wound that mysteriously heals. But here's the thing. Many biblical scholars say Revelation isn't really about the end times. It's about the Roman Empire under Nero, a cruel, power-hungry narcissist who spent the people's money glorifying himself while ignoring their needs. Sound familiar? Trump doesn't need to be supernatural to be exactly what early Christians warned against. Number 2, Trump's beginning to lose the Christian right. It largely started with the Epstein files, which many evangelicals believed Trump would expose. Instead, Trump has continuously fought the release of the files and turns out to be named in them between 38,000 and 1 million times. Then came the Iran war, which half the country believes Trump started to distract from his Epstein cover-up. Then Trump embarked on a wildly blasphemous Easter season, starting with his spiritual advisor comparing him to Jesus. On Easter Sunday, Trump posted a profanity-laced threat to commit war crimes in Iran. When the Pope called for peace, like popes do, Trump attacked the Pope, the leader of a faith practiced by 20% of Americans, and then followed up with the infamous picture of himself as Jesus. And what the hell is that? And it didn't help when Pete Hegseth apparently mistook a speech from Pulp Fiction for scripture. Number 3, Trump might not be the Antichrist, but Trump's policies are anti-Christian.
I'm all about the gospel.
Oh yeah? In Matthew 25:35, Jesus said, "Welcome the stranger," that is, people from somewhere else. Trump is deporting them. Jesus said, "Feed the hungry." Trump made the largest ever cut to food stamps. Jesus said, "Care for the sick." Millions are losing health coverage because of the cuts to Medicaid and the Affordable Care Act tax credits in the Big Ugly Bill. Jesus said, "Give to the poor." Instead, the Big Ugly Bill is giving a $2 trillion tax cut to the rich. Jesus said, "Blessed are the peacemakers." Trump has bombed at least 7 countries so far. It's almost as if the human embodiment of all 7 deadly sins isn't as tight with Jesus as he pretends.
So I think that's well done and a very compelling, if you're believed the Antichrist, I mean, that's pretty compelling, all of it together. And we see this every day with him. We see this kind of behavior every day. So did y'all see this? The story in the New York Times, hundreds of fake pro-Trump avatars emerge on social media. So I'm pivoting to this because I think we need to pay attention, because this could be a way to change the narrative for Trump and the right. By if they put up pro-Trump influencers that maybe not real, they're not real, they still
it is getting harder. It's getting harder and harder to tell. It's
especially if it's a lot of times it's the voice that gives them away. So there's some work to do there,
but it's frightening how quickly it has gone from, oh, that's clearly fake, to
I've been fooled a few times, definitely.
Yeah,
especially what's gotten particularly good with animals. AI animals are really hard to tell.
It's really moving at a pace that it's incredibly frightening moving forward. That there needs to be some serious media literacy combined with some sort of regulation that would force the identification of it, which clearly won't happen given what we have in Congress at the moment. Otherwise, the narrative will be lost on everything, because you can create a fiction about and not this. The really scary part is it's just some random person in a basement. It's not like you have to have some crazy computer set up in a warehouse somewhere. It is so widely available to so many people, to so many bad actors, that if you actually do have anything remotely coordinated, you can do an immense amount of damage.
Like the Matrix. I mean, it's scary. And I'm a teacher. And you would be shocked. I mean, how many students are turning in AI homework? That sucks.
How do you tell? How can you tell?
I can tell because I teach English as a second language, and it's perfect. And it's either someone that's highly college educated, like graduate level family member that's doing their homework, or AI. And the chances are it's probably AI. So that's how I can tell. I mean, I teach English as a second language for low-level English students.
I can't imagine, because when I was teaching in the classroom, we were dealing with the round of kids, like the internet became very accessible. So like in the early 2000s, like the internet was around, but there was a lot more on it. And suddenly there was Wikipedia, and suddenly there were other resources. And so then kids were going and they were finding ways to plagiarize their papers. And so then there was a lot of software that came out. So the same thing's going to happen with AI, but AI is still going so fast that they haven't been able to create enough to put in classrooms to help teachers and manage it. And so this is the problem with like just an industry that's wholly unregulated, like the Wild Wild West, because this is what we're going to see. So I can't imagine, because it was bad then when we were trying to catch plagiarism. And like you said, you could generally tell, but there's also a problem with you have to prove it, right? Because if you're going to suggest that a student has cheated or plagiarized or like whatever, then you also have to have some sort of evidence. And it was great to be able to throw it into like one of those programs and say, look, this is the website you got it from, and like this is whatever. How are you gonna like arrest ChatGPT? Like how are you proving that this is AI other than just you have to make a case for it? But I'm not jealous of teachers.
Might help is the fact that companies have invested so heavily in AI and have quite honestly done the drug dealer model of the first one's free, that they are going to have to create a paid structure for it sooner than later.
And there are some that are already trying to advance for regulation for that exact reason, right? Because they don't want it to blow up.
Well,
in the bad way.
The companies need to start making a profit on these things. They can't be taking a loss on this forever. And so if they can't monetize it, then this will go away. So the only bright light I see is that the companies will stop giving it away for free because they need to monetize it, because they have put out so much capital in adopting this that they need to figure out a way to profit from it.
Well, it is incredibly helpful for some things like medical issues and that kind of thing, but it's also incredibly dangerous. And there was some like congressional hearing where they were talking about how the AI itself was skimming money and stealing from people. The AI, not any person that was doing it, the AI. And the AI created its own like Reddit type system. And it was like in that Reddit system, it created its own religion. And I'm not kidding. And it was being sarcastic with other AI agents. I mean, it's insane. It's scary. It's dangerous. And in my opinion, it should be banned, even though I have used it and I have found it to be helpful. I make my little dog videos where I've got my sweet little puppy talking in the videos, and that's AI. Even it's very clearly AI. People can tell. I'm not trying to fool anyone that my dog talks.
I wrote a Substack about AI because I think a lot of people are anti-AI, and I definitely get that. But there's so much AI that is in use that you don't even realize, like the call centers, like everybody's using AI even though they don't realize it.
They're using it against their will. Like you're using AI against your will, even if you don't realize it.
I think we have to come to terms with the fact that there is a place for it, and we have to make peace with that. Like there's a place.
That's like any technology.
Like I use it for work. I use it. It helps me photo correct, do all those things, and it saves hours of time where I can do other things so I just think, if you're against it, fine, whatever. But I think people need to realize, remember that segment on, what was it, the Today Show, when the internet first came out and they were like, oh, Heather, what is the internet? Katie Couric said that. I think we're at that stage right now. And I think that eventually, I think where it really gets scary, robotics are becoming right now, like we're making fun of like the Tesla robots and things like that. If you look at some of the videos coming out of China, they're light years ahead of us. If you combine the AI thought process, like you said, they created their own religion, and with a humanoid, then game's on. Like it's like this really becomes a movie. I'm just that.
I agree with you, and I feel like it's naive when technology comes out to try to demonize it like in mass, because it's just you're scared of what you don't know, and you're scared of what's unregulated. And I think that that's fair and valid and understandable. But like looking over the course of history, this is what we've seen with every advancement. There's always people on one side that are dogmatic, that like won't move, that won't budge, that won't incorporate it, and they're always left like dinosaurs in the end. So we have to find a balance that's fair and responsible, and like reasonable for the environment and like, you know, that puts the responsibility onto the corporations and these businesses that are making billions of dollars off of it. They should be the one that has to carry the load of the burden of the, you know, negatives to that.
Yesterday was Earth Day. And, you know, with my class, we went over some of the benefits of the technology, the modern technology, and all the amazing innovations that there are to help solve some of the problems with the climate crisis. But AI, it uses a lot of water, it uses a lot of energy. And so hopefully these companies will take care of that and start investing in clean energy. As you probably know, Donald Trump canceled some wind farms on the East Coast that would have powered 1 million homes. And he paid $1 billion of our taxpayer money to do it. That's money that could have helped.
We don't hear about that nearly enough, like those kind of things. Like, you know, Melinda, to your point about, you know, fixing the energy situation, the water situation, I would go even further. It's going to be up to blue states because red states aren't going to do it. And they're putting data centers in red states too. Like California, you know, this new election, and we really need to press our candidates on that. Like, what are they going to do to make these things sustainable? I think if you are an AI generator, if you are a company producing AI and you have a data center, you need to equate that with giving back to the community, with actually helping the environment, with actually you know, China is doing this and they're not like really great on the environment in a lot of ways, but they're actually putting data centers underwater, like in the sea, to keep them cooler. They're finding innovative ways. They may not be financially viable yet, but they're testing the waters. We're not doing that. So I think that's really important.
Well, here in Virginia, they're everywhere. They are everywhere, and they suck up water and power.
And then they raise everybody's energy costs too.
Right.
And that's another thing.
Yeah, I mean, whose power bill, whose electric bill is not going up, like has not increased. I mean, you know, all of ours are. It's they're gonna have to do something. So Virginia, we had an election this week, a referendum on redistricting, and Virginia brought it home. They did. So let's watch it. So it went from like amazing, and a lot of people worked on it. Everybody on this call, you know, helped with Virginia with the messaging and all that stuff. And I don't think it was ever going to be a blowout. It was tight. I was telling Casey this, like my assessment, the difference between like Virginia and California was, we in California were coming off the heels of Texas, and we right away, and that was grassroots, and Gavin Newsom jumped on too. Is like, where you do this, you know, Abbott and Trump, we're going to respond. And I think I kind of even took the play, like, are we really going to respond here? You know, and then because we kind of looked into it, like it has to be, you know, it's actually in our Constitution here, the commission. And so he came on and like, look, we're going to have a special election, and we did it the right way. I think Virginia, there was distance there, you know, time wise, and then also I think the Republicans came out a little quicker than Democrats with their messaging. And so I think that's something to learn from. Like they, you know, Abigail Spanberger was amazing. Hakeem Jeffries came in there. You know, they were all amazing, but they had Republicans had a head start. So that's my thought. Then manipulation, a lot of like mailers that were like false, racist, all those things. And then, so we, you know, Virginia did the job. You know, we have two Virginians on this live right now, Casey and Susan. But let's watch this video, and then you guys take it away with your thoughts. But this is kind of like a little recap of where we're at.
Voters may have spoken narrowly approving the Democrats' redistricting map, but Republicans say the real fight is just starting now as they turn to the courts to try to get the gerrymandered map struck down.
The headline today is The legal fight is now on.
That's the take from former Virginia Attorney General Ken Cuccinelli. He and other Republicans now focused on 4 pending court challenges that threaten the future of the redrawn map, a map designed to give Democrats 4 more seats in the House. It's a counterpunch to Donald Trump's push for more red seats. The Virginia Supreme Court will hear arguments in one of the challenges on Monday, but Democrats question whether the court would upend election results.
It would be shocking. I think it would be outrageous for the court at this juncture to overrule the voters.
Legal analysts say the court will be putting this on a fast track because the clock is ticking for congressional candidates who need to start gathering voters' signatures to get on the ballot.
And then the mega tears were flowing that same night. This is one of the first things I saw was Ari Fleischer basically saying y'all shouldn't have done it. The Republicans shouldn't have never, gone down that road, and Marjorie Taylor Greene and others. But what are your thoughts, Casey and Susan?
It was about a 3-point difference, and that's what they thought. That's what they projected. So it ended up being exactly kind of how they thought it was going to be close. I will tell you that I think you're 100% right about the timing, and that we didn't have the same fire because there had been so much time, and that Democrats, when they have time, they put out the fire. And it's very difficult for Democrats to keep that sustained energy. We talked about this last week, and I was like, Democrats really need to put on their big bitch pants and like keep them on and stay in that angry energy. But we just like cooler heads prevail. And that's what always happens, right? So there were a lot of people who, I just talked to a person tonight, a mom at one of the therapies for my daughter, who is very, very progressive, very blue, was working with like her progressive co-op to try to get like people to, but even she was like, I had a hard time voting yes, because like the gerrymandering really bothers me. So that was an issue for people, even though it was correcting the Republicans, and even though it was in aid of hopefully eventually stopping it someday, they had a problem with that. Also, because we know Republicans, they did all those dirty mailers, they didn't do as much digital media strategy this time. And had they done that, I do think they could have won. And that is concerning because we beat them, and that was great because the Democrats really finally did go all in, and like they gave it their all, and people were still mad, and it was a referendum on Donald Trump to some extent. I think we need to look at this and be honest going forward about some of what we can do as Democrats, not just the Democrats, the establishment, but like all of us. Because it's really going to take a grassroots effort, because it's very clear that we are missing left billionaires. We are missing left money. We are missing the Democrats and I can tell you as somebody who does this for a living now, right? If I'm trying to help spread messaging, I do have to pay my bills. I would love to do this for free. I'd love to have an inheritance somewhere and not have to pay bills like with money that I make doing things online, but I don't. I don't have a rich uncle. I'm like from 2 teachers, okay? So I have to earn money somehow. And Republicans will pay 10, 20 times what people on the left will. And even just last night, I was at a fundraiser or an event, a happy hour event, and I was talking with the fundraiser person, and she's like, the amount of hoops that we have to go through, the micromanaging that we face from people on the left compared to the right is wild. So this is a conversation going forward we need to have, not just in Virginia, right? Like in all states, not just red states, not just blue states, in all states, because this is going to take people like you that are watching things like this to be honest online and with people who can eventually get these wealthier individuals to just pay up, to just stop being so stingy, stop making all these demands on us, and just give us the money so we can do stuff to defeat this. Like, because this race in Virginia shows how important money is, unfortunately, until we can overturn Citizens United, until we can address that. Money is what matters in these campaigns, in addition to your hard work. And thank you to Milena, who is doing so much work on this. She did a lot of phone banking and organizing that. Really, really helpful. And so, and Chris, all of you on this call did a lot of work, or on this live, did so much work, and that is huge, and that's how we won. But look at how close it was, even with all of that.
Yeah.
That was scary, Casey. Now, supposedly it's being appealed, which it is being appealed, but
the ruling.
That
well, I didn't even talk about that. Yeah, sorry, I didn't even.
Yeah.
Didn't even get to that.
It's on the screen right now. And Mark Elias, go ahead.
Yeah. So the judge, this is a judge in a rural part of Virginia. And I mean, like, as somebody in my comment section pointed out, like opioid, like heavy rural Virginia. And so he had a problem with the measure before. And so that's why it's already sitting at the Supreme Court, the state Supreme Court. It's been there, and they basically had a stay and allowed us to have this election, but they haven't had arguments yet. So this is still being decided on. What we voted on and approved is still being decided whether or not that was constitutionally sound and permissible. And, you know, there's a question about this 90-day requirement, where Virginia is a weird duck, because if you want to get an amendment in front of the voters, it has to pass in 2 separate General Assemblies. So you know how we elect Congress for 2 years, and that's like a session of Congress. So it would need to pass in 1 session of Congress. And then when you swear in the new Congress for another 2 years, it would have to pass in that too. And the Democrats were having trouble getting things passed because it kept changing. And finally, we got 2 General Assemblies where we had enough people to pass this. So they passed it at the tail end of the last one, knowing that Abigail Spanberger won and was going to come in and not veto it like Glenn Youngkin did, like the Republican governor kept doing. And so then they rushed it through the General Assembly this time because they wanted to get it in front of the voters. But when they did that, this judge is saying that they didn't give voters 90 days between when they approved this and when they put it in front of the voters on a ballot. This is where Adam would be helpful, but I don't even know if he knows Virginia law, because this is Virginia law.
I was on a call with him this morning, and he was talking a little bit about it.
Does he know that? Because I don't know the Virginia law on this. I haven't had a chance to look it up. This is, to be quite frank, this is one of those moments where you sort of just have a glass of wine and say, I'm not a lawyer and I can't do anything about this. Like, there's not a whole lot at this point. You know, it's like it either is against the law or it's not. And the Supreme Court has to decide how they want to.
Maybe you heard, but what I keep hearing from experts is that this seems like it's on solid ground, not the ruling, but like the vote.
That's what I've heard.
And then also this should move quickly through the courts. Yes. Because here's the bigger problem. You have a lot of, they don't know how the districts are going to be drawn. So you have there's like a limbo right now with people like, am I going to run for this seat or am I not going to run for this seat? So they're literally holding up 2026 with this.
This is why our primaries have been moved out to August, right? Like everything's been moved out farther. Like normally we would see that in June or whatever, or like earlier even, and it's been moved out. So I agree. I heard the same thing.
I think that should be our messaging is like, what are you guys doing? You're holding up an election. Move. We should be on that shit on social media, because this is not democracy here. The voters, they're taking away the voice of the voters.
They were saying that part of the reason for that 90 days is, do voters know about the election? And that's what the issue is. And since there was such a very high turnout in this election, they don't think that that's going to be an issue. And that was what was discussed on this call.
The other thing is the language. Did you hear what the language? They thought it was misleading. What did they say about that? Did you hear?
I did.
Was there anything positive about that?
The language. They didn't discuss the language about it, but I mean, all of these propositions always have such terrible language.
Right. That's not new.
I think that they would have someone that would.
Welcome to my world. California is the worst.
It's the worst.
You know that. I mean, our proposition. You have to study the proposition to make sure you're voting correctly.
So that's it really does depend on who draws it, and it seems like the Supreme Court doesn't have any designs on overturning something like this, especially when the voters have been like show, like you said, it may not have been like a landslide, but there were a demonstrable amount of people that showed up to support this, like, and make sure that this was a yes. So I agree with the assessment that it would be very surprising to see them overturn that. But those are I was just sharing, those are the things that are the reason. Like, he found, I think, 6 or 7 points, and like that he was nitpicky with this Republican judge. But again, a very partisan judge. Like, he is on record as a Republican. He ran for office as a Republican. This is not a secret. And I would also like to take this moment, as I said in my video, which I have not published to YouTube yet because I haven't edited it. I did a short one, but there's a longer one where I explain all of this. And sorry, my cat is moving this right now. This is a good reminder to all of you at home to go talk to people about what presidents and governors do, and general assemblies and congresses, in terms of judges, because most judges are not elected by people. Most judges are appointed. Please get off. Thank you. Most judges are appointed by a governor or a president, or they're appointed by a general assembly or whatever, but like they're usually then confirmed by a Senate or a Congress, like a state Congress, whatever. They last longer, though. Their tenure, the time that judges stay in office, is almost always more than a governor or the representatives that serve you at the state or congressional level. So what we have is, like, you've seen this at the Supreme Court level, right? That's happening not just at the Supreme Court, where you have justices that are staying for decades, that are holding these super conservative views. Like, Amy Coney Barrett's going to be there for decades more if she wants to be, because these justices oftentimes stay until they die. Yeah. And not all judges are like, every state has like kind of different rules about how they do this. And like some of them have mandatory retirement ages and things like that. But still, we're getting people who are sitting on the bench for like 6, 10, 20 years. And so when when we see Republicans gain control of something for 8, 10, 12 years, that is 12 years of appointing judges that are at the district and federal appellate, like wherever levels. And they're screwing things up. They're fucking shit up. And I think we don't talk about that enough, because people forget about the judicial branch and they think that judges are going to be neutral and impartial and they're going to read the law correctly. And they should be that way. But that's not how it is. And so this needs to be discussed, because as we saw with Roe v. Wade being overturned, it has significant implications, but it also has implications at the state level for things like this, when we have measures like this. So just want everybody to.
So
yeah.
I want to make this point real quick. The mega tears that flowed the night that Virginia won that thing, to me, that's a perfect opportunity. You want to talk about a gerrymander, a national gerrymander ban? Like, are y'all down for that now? You know, since you had a problem with this. And then Democrats introduced a bill to end gerrymandering nationwide, and every Republican voted no. So then cue Florida. Oh, wait. No, hold on. Y'all got to watch this. Watch this from Speaker Johnson.
Gerrymandering boondoggle. We fought hard. We raised a ton of money. We did our best, but the Democrats in charge of Virginia hoisted this upon the people. It is still in the courts. We are confident and calling upon the Virginia Supreme Court to do the obvious and right result, and that is to strike this thing down. Why? Because it was demonstrated again last night. This is a divided state. It's almost 50-50.
Keep walking.
So a 10-to-1 map is not justified in that state. The Democrats are in charge of it, and they ran a dishonest gambit to try to rig the system. The Democrats started this. The Republican states are doing what they can do lawfully under their state laws. The people are taking account of this. They're voting accordingly, and we are on track to win in November. Watch, we are on track.
Girl, what?
They're going to win the House.
I would like to point out at this point that there are more registered Democrats in Texas than Republicans.
Yes.
So your logic breaks down there when you're saying 50-50 equals whatever, because then you wouldn't have messed around with.
He's he's fighting for his life, basically. Honestly, like
they
they
will lie about anything, won't they? They're just liar McLiar. Seems like they are lying liars from Liarsburg. I can't believe how proficient they are at it.
Micro Johnson is delusional. So cue Florida. All of a sudden now Florida. Well, we've been hearing rumblings for months, ever since Texas, that Florida was going to do their own gerrymandering, and here they are. So it sounds kind of serious. It sounds, like DeSantis is doing his thing. And I loved this video with Jeffries. And I want to say this too. We've been saying, and we're always hearing rank and file Democrats saying, we want to see fight. We want to see Democrats fight. This is a perfect example. Like this whole gerrymandering, redistricting, that is fight. So we should be supporting this. We shouldn't be saying, well, two wrongs don't make a right. Like, no, fuck that. You started it. We're in this fight and we aim to win, and we're not backing down until we finish the job. Watch this.
Map in Florida that already exists was gerrymandered in 2022. And so to the extent they try to take some additional seats in a map that was already gerrymandered, what Ron DeSantis will accomplish is placing additional Republican incumbents in jeopardy. And that's the reason why, Brian, so many Florida Republicans quietly have gone to the White House and have gone to the governor telling him not to go down this road. It was a disaster for them in Texas, where they claim they're going to take 5 seats away from us. They'll be fortunate in Texas if they get to 2 or 3.
Yeah.
And they're going to lose at least one Republican incumbent as a result of the Texas dummy mander. And now Ron DeSantis is considering making the same mistake in Florida.
So what he's describing there are two things. There is basically Republicans, Mike Johnson, whoever, they're playing to an audience of one. They are trying to make Trump happy with this shit, but they know that they're dummy mandering Florida. They're about to do that. And I don't know if if Hakeem Jeffries should be broadcasting the game here, but I loved that video, and I just think bring it. You know what I mean? I don't know. I think it'll be very interesting to see what happens in Texas at the end of the day, because it is not sounding. If you couple that with the fact that the Hispanic population in Texas really has swung from, Trump voters back to Democrat voters. And like Chris mentioned, the majority of Texans really are registered, Democratic. I don't know. It's not, in California picked up 5 seats with our redistricting. So I don't know Republicans. Y'all keep
people do not like gerrymandering, as we saw in Virginia, and as people said, but then people also do not like Donald Trump. And those two things are a bad combination for Republicans right now, because if they can't get, solid red districts, they're going to lose. So if they're forfeiting some of their solid red districts in order to get maybe winnable districts in normal times, these aren't normal times for them. These are times where they're only going to win in like Marjorie Taylor Greene level super red areas. And even when we saw Marjorie Taylor Greene's replacement, that election was at Sean Harris, right, in Georgia.
Yeah,
that one was closer than they thought it would be. So that
was a huge swing.
That's what I'm saying. So they know they can only win in super red districts, and the way that this works is that you're cutting into some of your like you saw in Virginia, the way they did it. They took Northern Virginia, the very blue area, and they cut into it and spread that out. It's like cracking, right? Like they spread it out, and then that way they can win more districts because they're winnable at that point if you have like a 51% majority or whatever. The Republicans can't do that right now. They do not have the popularity. They don't have the support. And so the Texas thing that Gamble, they did so early on, now they've lost a lot of special elections since then, right? Like now they've lost a bunch and they're like, oh dear, I see. We have overplayed our popularity hand. And I am like, I love to see it. Like I'm enjoying watching them. But my only concern here is the desperation that comes out of this. Because they are so desperate, they're willing, and we've seen that they're willing to break the law. We've seen that they're willing to ignore the Constitution. They don't care. We've seen that they're willing to execute people in the street. Like that's how desperate this party is. So when we look at things like the SAVE Act and like how they're trying to pass that and what they're willing to do and how they're willing to sneak that into things, I'm not saying it's going to pass the way it is, but I'm pointing to, we're getting to that point where they are so desperate. Like where even Mike Johnson, he was saying all that to your face, but like Chris said, he knows it's over. And so they're going to do whatever they can to try to hold on to that power, because this isn't just about power, it's about money. And you know that like what people will do in the name of money. Right.
So I think with Florida, we need to come out early with this messaging that Republicans had the chance to put Democrats put a gerrymandering bill, anti-gerrymandering bill through, and every single Republican voted no. So plus remind them about Texas, and here we are. So like, if you're a Democrat in Florida, independent in Florida, get on board, because this is the only way we're going to fix this shit.
Or maybe quietly we just say, oh no, don't gerrymander Florida even more, knowing full well that they're going to dummy-mander it. That would
here's the thing.
That would be terrible.
There's a huge autocratic swing in this country. And there's a percentage of people that support that. But I feel like it's up to us, each one of us, every Democrat out there, to explain, to reinforce democratic values. Oh, you don't like gerrymandering? Okay, well, this is what's happening. And the difference between the way that the Democrats are drawing the lines and the way that the Republicans are drawing the lines is they're drawing lines to take away power from groups that already have such limited power, minorities. And they have been doing this for a very long time, along with other voter suppression. And we need to explain. And ours is temporary, and theirs is not. And also, they're not putting it before the voters. They're doing it in the middle of the night, behind closed doors, where voters.
Is it clear what Florida's path is? Is it going to be a vote, or is it going to be? I would expect it not to be a vote, because I think it would fail. Actually, yeah. So, all right. So we're into 90 minutes here. Were you going to say something, Susan?
Yeah, just what Melania was saying. I thought of this. They're going after the FPLC, the Southern Poverty Law.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, this is. I don't see Florida doing it, but
yeah, I think we just have to be prepared with messaging, but if it's not going to the people, but so you guys,
the people can call their
2 hours here. Huh?
Mm-hmm. The people can call their legislators, their state legislators, and make sure that they. So if you live in Florida, call your state legislator. People, who's my state legislator? Put in your zip code. And call.
Even though it's gerrymandered, just remember Florida's not as red as they think it is. So that's also it. Like there are a lot of blue people in that state, and also a lot of people that are moderate conservatives, but like aren't deeply conservative or aren't socially conservative,
and also
or whatever.
Non-voters. They need to.
They voted for Obama.
Yeah.
So remember that. It's a purple state.
So
that's been.
Here's let's watch this final clip, and then let's talk about it on the other side.
What I should do to get power is immediately add Puerto Rico and District of Columbia to state and expand the Supreme Court to 13.
That's a motivation right there. When we take back power, we used to pussyfoot around expanding the court. No more. Like I want to hear people running for Congress, running for Senate, talk about that shit. Like we need to expand the court. How else are we going to make this right? And like Casey mentioned earlier, these new justices are young, and if something happens to Clarence Thomas, if he retires, or they're going to replace him with someone more extreme, which is hard to believe, and younger. And these are going to be our grandkids are going to be dealing with this shit. So I just think, to me, I'm not a big James Carville fan by any means at all, but I liked that messaging. Like, let's expand the court. Let's fix things. Let's fix gerrymandering. Like, they need to do all the things. They need to talk about it. So, any other?
I was genuinely
final words
surprised
here?
I was surprised he said that. I'll be honest. Like I credit where I'm not gonna. He doesn't need credit from me. I'm not gonna give it to him.
That's
but
not
I
a
will
moderate
say,
thing to say. That is not a moderate.
yeah. I think but I think to the point that I was telling you earlier, I left a rant on Chris's voice, a rant in a voice message, and I was like, it should be though. That should be the moderate sentiment. And I think if we're ever going to find any kind of normalcy, if we're ever going to find any semblance of what we used to have with our country going forward, that has to be the bare minimum. Bare minimum going forward. And that starts with people like you who are watching this, going back to your members of Congress, like going back to social media and using this terminology as like the base level, what our expectations are of Democrats that get elected. Like, if you're going to get elected, that's the bare minimum. That's what makes you a Democrat, is that you're willing to do these things. We also expect more than that, but this is where we're starting. And we have to do that now, because we have to, like, what the Republicans have done with Donald Trump, where we've normalized him and his insane behaviors. I know what we've done with that, how they've normalized. We have to do that with this kind of rhetoric. We have to make what used to seem really progressive seem really like, okay, that's fine, whatever, normal day, just another Tuesday, right? That's what that has to be. That starts now. We have to start using this and calling people to do this and making that an expectation. I don't think we're doing that enough, and I think we need to work harder on that, personally.
Yep.
And getting the money out of politics. That's
yes.
super important.
Yes.
Making, profiting off of your political position should be illegal and punishable. Pardons should go by the wayside. If we need to amend the Constitution, I mean, there's so much corruption going on there. There's so much that we need to do, but we need to make sure that people are talking about it and that candidates are talking about it. And I know that candidates are like, they think it's only about affordability, but we've got people in concentration camps. We need to be talking about these type of things too. And we need to pressure our candidates to make sure that we do, because, just like the poem, you could be next, right? There was nobody left to talk about it. There was nobody left to fight for me. We've got to fight for everyone, because if not, it could be us.
Yeah.
I like that.
And on that, we will wrap. So thanks everyone for joining us, and we'll see you. Actually, we're not going to be on next Thursday. We're skipping a week. The Thursday after, we will see you all again. Thanks everyone.
All right. Take
Bye.
care.
Bye. My cat says